and welcome to the Story Club. I'm Faith Moore, and this is Lesson 5 of How to Write Fiction. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you about point of view and voice. The Story Club is a place for writers, readers, and story enthusiasts to engage with the stories they love. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can find a link to my website, faithkmoore.com, in the description to learn more. This course consists of 10 videos designed to teach you how to plan and craft your story. All 10 videos are completely free to watch. If you'd like to practice the skills I explained in the videos, you can visit faithkmoore.com to order writing prompts. A writing prompt is an assignment that helps you practice a particular writing skill. Once you've filled out the prompt, you send it to me and I give you personalized feedback to help you improve. Visit faithkmoore.com and click on Course Offerings, then How to Write Fiction for more info. Or just check the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're already watching this from my website, there's more info right on this page. In lessons 1 through 4, I took you through a series of steps to plan out your story. If you followed along, you should now have a what-if question, a conflict that goes with it, characters that make sense for your story, and a world they live in. You should also have a completed outline of your key plot points from beginning to end. The rest of the lessons in this course will focus on writing craft, otherwise known as how to write. We'll be discussing the things you need to be able to do in order to make your writing interesting, exciting, believable, and, on the most basic level, professional. We're going to start with point of view and voice. Point of view refers to whose perspective the story is being told from. The most basic version of this is what type of narrator you have. If the narrator is third-person omniscient, that means he's not a character in the story. He tells the story in the third person, like he did whatever instead of I did whatever, and he can know anything that happens. He's not limited to the knowledge of one character. You can have a third-person narrator who isn't omniscient as well. In this case, the narrator still speaks in the third person, but the things he knows are limited to what one character in the story would know. He might still not be a character in the story, or he might be a character who isn't really part of the action, so the story's not in the first person. Alternatively, your narrator might be the protagonist or another character in the story narrating in the first person, meaning I. In this case, the things this narrator could tell us would be limited to what he sees, hears, and experiences. A first-person narrator won't be able to know the experience of the characters around him. So even though he's there, he's still limited to his own experience. He can't hear the thoughts of the other characters or know what they're feeling unless they demonstrate it somehow, and he can't know what they're going to do before they do it. But another thing to keep in mind when thinking about point of view is the point of view of each scene. Even third-person omniscient narration will still almost always orient itself to someone else's point of view in each scene, usually the main character. And if you're narrating a scene from someone's point of view, you can't change the point of view for a second because it's convenient and then go back to the main point of view character. Let me give you an example. If your third-person omniscient narrator is narrating a scene in which a bad guy pulls a gun on our hero, and the scene has been pretty much from the hero's perspective, you want to keep it there. You don't want to switch randomly to the bad guy and then back to the hero. The reason for this is that by making the scene from the hero's perspective, you've manipulated your reader into feeling like they are the hero in this situation. Don't worry, it's the good kind of manipulation. They feel the hero's fear, excitement, drive, etc. as if it were their own, if you're doing it right. And switching suddenly for no reason to someone else's perspective takes that away from them. Of course, no rule is hard and fast in fiction, and there certainly are times when switching back and forth between two points of view is useful, in building suspense, for example, or adding to the emotional weight of the scene. But it has to be done intentionally and for a purpose. Let me just pause briefly to say thank you so much for being here. I hope these lessons are helpful or at least interesting. If you'd like to connect further, I'm very excited to share that I am now on Locals. If you'd like to join a community of writers and readers and get exclusive content from me, I hope you'll consider becoming a Story Club VIP. Please visit my website, faithkmoore.com, and click on Community for more info. I hope you'll join us. Okay, back to the lesson. Voice refers to the way your narrator speaks, the words he uses, the way he says things, and his general attitude toward the story. All narrators have voice, even if your narrator isn't actually a character in the story. The voice of your narrator should be the right voice for the story you're trying to tell. The kind of voice you need will depend on whether the story takes place in the past, present, or future, whether or not the narrator is a character in the story, and what kind of world the story takes place in. Think about the difference, for example, between the narration of a hard-boiled detective novel and a gothic romance. The tone, or voice, of the narrator puts you in the world where the story takes place by talking to you like someone who comes from that world. If you've never read a hard-boiled detective novel or gothic romance, you probably should. No one can write well unless they read a lot. You probably have a distinct voice of your own. Maybe not in your writing yet, although you might, but when you speak. You have phrases you use over and over again, filler words you prefer, like like, or whatever, and a cadence to your speech that's yours alone. If you are the narrator of your story, I don't mean a third-person omniscient narrator, I mean like actually you, then your task would be to capture that way of speaking and tell the story like that. This video has a specific voice. It's my voice, but if you met me and we had a conversation, I probably wouldn't sound just like this. You might think you already write in your own voice, that it happens naturally, but it doesn't. It takes skill to write in a specific voice, even your own. The same is true for whoever your narrator is. They have a specific way of speaking and telling the story that's unique to them, and you need to capture it in writing so that your narrator can speak to your reader. Think about the kind of voice you want your narrator to have. Are they a knight in a medieval romance? A valley girl? A heroic astronaut? And then study how someone like that talks. Watch movies, read books, listen to people in coffee shops, listen to your friends, your teachers, anyone who seems like the kind of person you're trying to write. It'll take time. Voice is tricky, but it's important. Otherwise, your writing will be dry and uninteresting, and nobody wants that. Least of all you. Your characters have a voice too, even the ones who aren't the narrator, and that's what we'll be talking about in the next lesson, dialogue. See you there. Thanks for watching How to Write Fiction. Remember, if you'd like to receive writing prompts and personal feedback tied to each lesson, visit faithkmoore.com and click on Course Offerings, then How to Write Fiction for more info, or just check the description of this video. Also on my website, you can click on Editing Services to learn how to hire me to edit your work, or you can click on Community to find me on Locals. Happy writing!